Welcome to MyZone Online School. My name is Ismail Topoli, and welcome Pamwene. Please remember, guys, don't forget to sanitize. Make sure you rub it nicely, even in the middle of your fingers. Don't forget your mask. And also make sure you have your social distance intact. All right. So today's lesson, we are going to do Mathematics Grade 6, Lesson 3, and that is Properties of Numbers. All right, now let's go to page 11. And there we have what we call properties of numbers. Now, the first property of numbers, as you can see, it's an associative property. Now, guys, let me tell you the key. Okay, there it says associative property, and then the next one is commutative property. But I want to tell you one thing. The secret is that if you want to understand these mathematical words, just focus on the meaning of that word. It might sound dangerous, but it's really simple, all right? Look at the word associative. What does that mean? To associate means a grouping, coming together. Are we together? So associative property has to do with grouping. Sometimes you will hear your parents say, I don't want you to associate with wrong friends. What do they mean? Don't group yourself with wrong friends because they will influence you. So let's see, it says there that this only applies to addition and multiplication. Like in that example, we see that there are 3 children that are friends, but they do not always play together at break time. So there you see it says that yesterday the boys played together, and then on the other side it says that today the grouping is different. So it has to do with groupings. And the reason for associative property normally is for you to make your mental calculations easier. All right? That is the purpose behind it. And I will show you later what I mean. Okay, now let's go to communicative property. Sorry, not communicative, but commutative property. All right, commutative property. Now, if you look at the word commutative, you will see a word commute. You will sometimes hear things like, oh, my parents, they commute to Okahanja every day from Windhoek, or from Ongwediva to Oshakate. So what does commuting mean? It means moving. Are we together? So in a commutative property, what happens is that you move the numbers around, or you put them at different positions so that you can find an easier way to do your calculations. All right? Now, this only applies to addition and multiplication. Are we together? Now, it doesn't matter in which order you are adding or multiplying, as long as you move it in a manner that you can make your calculations easier. All right, now let me explain, or let's summarize. Associative property. I will need the chalkboard for that to explain it to you properly. Assume you have you need to figure out what the answer is. Now, instead of me finding out, or let me make this all multiplication to make it relevant. Instead of saying 3 times 2, which is not wrong, it will be 6, and then 6 times 5 will then give me 30. But why take so long? Why don't you just say 2 times 5 will give me 10? And then guess what? We have an easy number there to continue. Then you say 3 times 10 will give me 30. Can you see the purpose for associative property? All right. And on the other hand, we have a commutative property. Say, for example, I have 3 plus 1 plus 19. Instead of saying 3 times 1 will give me 4, plus 19, that will give me 23, which is not wrong. What is the easier way to do it? I say 1 plus 19 will give me 20. I bring down the 3, and now you can see your calculation is made easy. So you just have to take 20 and then put 3 on top of 20, and then you have 23. All right. So, having said that, I want us to quickly do some activities. Okay, now, before we get into the depths of this, activities, this activities is quite different. The aim for this activity is to recognize what type of operation, what type of property is in operation. Are we together? So, there are 4 types of properties. All right? I said 4 types, so each property has 2 types. Now, the first property there, it says commutative property of addition. The second one is commutative property of multiplication. So basically, both are commutative, but the first one, which is A, only has addition operations. B is also commutative, but it only has multiplication. And then C is associative property of addition. And then D is associative property of multiplication. All right? Notice that all 4 are different. Now, one of the key things that I want to give you is this. Commutative property. What happens is that the numbers, they move around. In other words, the positions, they change. The positions change. Associative property, the numbers don't move, but you will notice that the bracket has been changed, all right, to make calculation easier. Now, I think I gave you a big hint. Okay, let's look at activity 1. It says match each expression with one of the properties shown by filling in the correct letter. Let's look at A. What do you think? What type of property is that? What type of property do you think is that? Okay, let's see. Well, first of all, the numbers on your left-hand side is exactly the same as the numbers on your right-hand side, or on the other side of the equal sign. So the numbers don't move, so that will be associative. But now, what type of associative is it? Is it addition or multiplication? Yes, it will be associative property of multiplication. So our answer at A will be D. All right, let's do B. Look at the numbers on your right-hand side and look at the numbers at your left-hand side. What is happening? Was the numbers moved around? Yes. So, what is that? It's commutative. It's commutative. But now, what type of commutative is it? Is it multiplication or addition? Yes, it's addition. So B will be A. B will be A. Okay. Now, I've given you a hint on how to do it, right? So the next C and D, I want you to do it on your own. All right. Okay. Now let's do number 2. It says here that they use the property of numbers to mentally simplify each expression. Okay, now I'm going to use the chalkboard to show you how to do this. I'm just going to show you A, and then the rest you do it on your own, okay? So we have 19 plus 15 plus 5, and here we have a bracket. So what I'm going to use associative property of addition. So I'll put this 2 in the bracket. Right? Why? So that when I add this, I have a decade number. Now, what is a decade number? Are all those numbers which ends with a 0. 10, 15, 10, 20, 30, and 40, and so on. So 15 plus 5 will give me 20. Now this will make life easy because now I just say 20 plus 19 will give me 39. All right? So there is one way how you can use one of the properties to solve A. So on your own, I want you to do B, C, and D. Okay. Now, number 3, it says, Shakwengwe, when shopping at Discount World and bought a pair of socks for $12.50, a pair of jeans for $109.95, and some shoes for $802.50. How much did Shakwengwe spend during his shopping trip? Now, the key here is not just to add the numbers together, but remember, you first need to make sure that you bring the numbers together. That will give you an easy answer so that you can continue to add the next number. All right? So what I want you to do is, first of all, figure out what type of property will you use. Okay? Some of you might already get the idea. What type of property will you use? Because you have to add. Okay? And then after that, what you do, you add them in a way to make it easy. Okay? So which 2 numbers will you first add to get a rounded number? And then from there, you can add the next number. Okay? So I hope you enjoy this activity, or you will enjoy this activity. And please remember, do not forget. Remember, sanitize your hands. Okay? To wear your mask. And then, of course, lastly, your social distance. And having said that, see you next time. Goodbye.
Hi everyone, my name is Shoshi and I am back. My mommy used to tell me that I need to wash my hands and sanitize it to keep the germs away. Also, one thing you can remember is to sing the alphabet song while you wash your hands. After that, it will be super clean. I usually do it. And until next time, bye!